Jenna Belk, and welcome to the Atheist Experience. With me today is Vi Bianca.
Hello.
And she is the co-host on Secular Sexuality and has been co-hosting on Talk Heathen as well. This is my first time hosting, so this is fun. Welcome, and thank y'all for coming and watching. I just wanted to plug in. I started a show this past week. I realized that I have a unique perspective to share with the world, and I just want to kind of help with the things that I've been learning. And so it's called Atheist Stasis, and it's on YouTube now. Unfortunately, it's really hard to search because I had it posted as unlisted for my patrons so that they could watch it before I posted it. And now that I've made it public, you can't search it in the search bar. So I'm going to fix that. But you can search it by searching my name as a channel, and you can find it that way. And so I'll fix it from there. But did you have anything you wanted to say?
That's amazing. Just congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
I'm excited for you. Oh, my gosh.
So I guess we'll get to calls and
I'm
just
ready.
keep the show going.
Yeah,
Huh?
let's do it.
Who did you want to talk to first?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Maybe Angela?
Yeah, let's go with Angela.
So Angela, oh, nope. Hold on. Angela, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi,
Hello.
You're talking to Jenna and Vi.
Hi.
It says here that you're kind of confused, right? You're Morgan, then Pagan, then kind of questioning.
Yeah, well, I was raised Mormon, and I got out of that pretty quick when I was 13, because that was a little crazy.
Okay.
And, of course, I got pregnant at 16, and I got a lot of dirty looks from people at church. So,
Aw.
That'll happen.
I went on a path, and I tried Catholicism. That's even more scary. And
Yeah.
And then I tried other religions and stuff, and then I just found paganism, and I thought, well, I don't really want to adopt myself to any specific religion, so I'll just make this a way of life.
Right.
And my son begged me to call your show because I've had a lot of supernatural experiences happening to me, and he wanted me to kind of share with you because I'm confused with you guys as to why you don't believe in the supernatural or have faith in just anything. I mean, because I know faith is tied to religion, but for me, it's not. Because religion is just a made-up, I think religion is a made-up thing to instill fear in people. So I don't really conform to religion. So I don't even know what I am.
Sure.
I'm just a free spirit, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of times that I've had, I'm not crazy, but I heard voices tell me things like when I was driving one time. I was in the middle of separating from my husband, and I was driving from Seattle to Oregon, and I kept hearing somebody say, stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I got to go down there with my son. And it became nighttime, and in Chehalis, Centralia area is really dark. And I heard another voice say, turn on your high beams, because I only had one headlight.
Okay.
I turned on my high beams. There's a 5-point buck in the road. Okay. And I hit it, and it moved my car all the way over to the shoulder, perfectly parallel parked. 2 seconds later, when the car stopped, a semi went past me. I mean, I would have been killed if I hadn't turned on my high beams and listened to that voice. I believe that there are things out there. I don't know what they are. I can't explain it. He definitely wanted me to mention to you about a time where my
well, hold on. Before we move on, let's break down what we've gotten so far. Just to see if we're following. So it sounds to me like you believe that there's something, but you don't know what it is, right?
Right, exactly.
And the reason that you think that is because there have been times that you've heard voices, and at those times something happened that convinced you. I'm confused why you think that there's something supernatural connected to these voices.
It was like a guy telling me to do something to save my life, to protect me. It was like a protecting spirit, I guess you could say. Do you want to call it that? I call them guardians or whatever.
Why do you call it that?
I feel like because they're good spirits.
How do you know that, though? But why do you think good spirit? Like, why does your mind go there? Because I've heard...
Because I don't know any other way to describe it.
Okay.
Other than there's a presence with me that has always been there since I was a child and has always guided me and told me things. And when I obey,
So how do you know that there's a presence? What is this presence? What do you mean by there's a presence?
I can describe it as a sensation of feeling like there's someone with me.
Okay, so what if I were to tell you that I feel like there's someone with me, and I know that someone is Mary Poppins? That's
great.
Is it?
If she's helping you out and saving your life, that's awesome.
But is she? Hold on, but is she?
She could be.
If I feel like she is and I think that she is, does that mean that she is?
Well, there's something there.
How do you know that, though?
I don't know.
So I may feel like something's there, but does that mean... So have you ever... So actually, I watched a TED Talk, and it was about being wrong. Do you have any idea what it feels like to be wrong?
Oh, yes.
How does it feel?
It feels horrible.
Oh, right. So describe some of the feelings that you get when you're wrong.
It makes me feel completely empty, completely lost, and completely alone.
Okay. So what you just described is what it feels like when you discover that you're wrong. When you're wrong and you don't know that you're wrong yet, it actually feels exactly like being right. And that's something that really made an impression on me because every time you've ever found out you were wrong, didn't you think that you were right before?
But if I had it turned on my high beams when the voice told me to, I would have been killed. So how would I be wrong? I would be dead.
What I'm saying is that you might be wrong about what it is that's talking to you. It could have been some kind of intuition. It could have been that you've been driving enough times, that you had enough experience, that you've learned that when you see a flicker of a light in the distance, then subconsciously you understand that there might... Hold on, let me finish. Subconsciously, there might be something coming at you, and there might be some kind of adrenaline rush that subconsciously you understand that there's something coming, and you respond, and it sounds like it's a voice. But something that it's hard to understand unless you look into it is that the human brain is very, very easily fooled. There are a lot of times that we think that something is happening when actually something else is happening. And so I'm just trying to figure out. Hold on, I'm just trying to figure out if there is something out there. Pardon me. If there is something out there, say it's supernatural, say it's a god, say it's a deity, say whatever it is, I want to know what it is, because if it's this important that it's directing people in what they're supposed to do in their life and how they're supposed to end their life and how they're supposed to affect other people and change the world and whatever, if it's this big of a deal, I want to know what's really out there, and I want to know what the rules are, right? And so I found out that when I started believing a completely different religion from you, but when I started to do the research and try to figure out what's actually real, because I want to know what the real rules are, I found out that there's nothing out there. There's no reason to believe any of it. And so I just want to know, why do you think that this voice in your head is some higher power? I mean, I just want to know why you think that it could not possibly be your own head.
The reason why I know for a fact that it's not something in my head is because there was an incline in the road. The deer was over the incline. There would have been no way I would have seen a flicker of light of his eyeballs or anything until I switched on my high beams. There was no way of me seeing, or even my brain recognizing that I was in some sort of danger. And the voice I heard was not my own.
No, that's okay. It doesn't have to be your own head. I actually close my eyes sometimes and I hear voices all the time.
Well, auditory hallucinations are the most common, if I'm right, I might be wrong, but I think that auditory hallucinations are the most common form of hallucination. And it can be a result of almost anything, of an emotional stress, of being too tired, of being
Too emotionally stimulated.
too hungry, and then it could also be from if you have head trauma. A lot of people who at some point in their life have had head trauma also have auditory hallucinations sometimes, and it's not your voice that you hear, it's other voices, or it's something. And I mean, the high beams thing is interesting because for me, that was a very big deal when I was learning how to drive, like always turn on your high beams. Like it's kind of drilled into you. So at some point, it could have been, and I'm not saying this is for sure because we don't know for sure, right? There's no way to know. But it could have been that your subconscious was like, oh, wait, did I turn my high beams on? Because I'm driving in the dark on this road, and I've been down that road. It is very dark and kind of scary. Did I turn my high beams on? And it could have been your own subconscious doing that. And that would make a lot more sense given what we know about the world than someone else telling you that. So that's where we're coming from.
My question for you guys is, if I was to provide some sort of irrefutable, I can't even say that word.
It's okay.
Proof. Thank you. That there was something supernatural. Okay, for example, my son Carter had his girlfriend over here after my father passed away.
Hold on, before we change the subject and give a different example, can we stick with this one? Because it sounds like this is why you believe in something supernatural, right? So it's more things like this, right? It's more things where you heard voices and...
Well, this is part of that. This will actually...
Oh, it's part of the same story? Okay, I'm sorry.
More. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. I did a seance for his girlfriend. I never did one before. I didn't ask her any questions. I never met this girl before. And I did a seance for her, and I spoke with her father, which I didn't even know who he was. I didn't know anything about this girl. And I was able to communicate with her dead father to her things that only they knew together. And then when I was done with that, I had to call my friend who had to help me because he was a high priest in the coven.
Have you ever heard of James Randi?
Yeah.
There's some videos that you might want to try looking up on YouTube, but by James Randi, because he does a really good job debunking things, magic tricks and things like that. Because once again, the mind is very easily.
I'd be more than willing to prove it.
Then isn't the James Randi Foundation still going?
I believe so.
There's $1 million for you.
I don't know if the $1 million thing is still.
Oh, it's not still there? Okay.
I don't want $1 million.
Oh, okay.
So you mentioned a high priest and a coven. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you're involved in a community where they talk about this kind of thing a lot, right?
I was, yeah.
Okay. And before that, you were involved in other religions where they talked about other kinds of metaphysical, mystical things, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I
would find my own path.
Right. And I congratulate you for getting out of those other religions because that's a big step. My concern is that you may be taking some of these things that they are telling you and instilling in you, maybe allowing them to influence the way you're perceiving events that are happening. And I'm not saying that you're...
How would I contact a person I don't even know is dead to a person I don't even know who's alive? And
I don't know. I don't know that you did that. But I also don't know how you would prove to me that you did.
I'd do a seance for you. You could pick anybody you want that I don't know. Anybody you want. I don't know anything as long as they have a dead friend or relative, and I would do a seance for you and prove it. I don't want any recognition. I don't want any money or anything.
Well, I mean, she wants a little recognition because she's calling the show and advertising.
So then are you telling me not that you heard... So hold on. So you heard a voice when you were driving down the road, and all it said, it was a male voice, it was not yours, and it said stop.
It was a female voice.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a female voice that was not yours, and it said stop, and it saved your life, right?
It said stop, and it kept going. Then it said to turn on my high beams.
It said stop, and it said turn on your high beams?
Yeah, I was in Tacoma when it said stop. And
Okay.
I said it 3 times, and I kept going. And then in Chehalis, right up, as I was going up a hill, it said turn on your high beams. And I turned on my high beams, and there was a deer in the left-hand lane.
So let's say that
And
this proves that there is something that talks to you.
Yes.
Now what?
Enjoy it.
I guess.
I just feel bad for people who don't have any faith that there's anything out there.
Why?
Well, it doesn't seem like
Because
what
I
part of
tried
this
that.
is faith for you? You seem to be giving us.
I actually tried to be atheist and not believe in anything.
But see, that's the thing is we
tried.
don't try to be atheists. I found out that I am one after I was one because I learned the definition of it and then realized that it's not a positive claim that I know for a fact that there are no gods. It's simply the fact that I have done research and I've been trying to figure out what's out there, and I found out that there's no logical reason to believe that there is one. And then I looked up.
I don't know if there's a God.
I don't either.
I really don't.
I don't either. That's why I'm an agnostic atheist. Means I don't know, but I don't think so.
I think
Because
my mom might be right about that there might be a whole bunch of them, but I don't know for the sure.
But why
I don't
think
have
that there's
any way of
anything?
proving
So
that.
you think that there's something because you hear voices. That's interesting.
Well, okay, Angela, real quick, because
Yeah.
I wanna understand this. You're giving us an experience that you had, and I'll grant that you had this experience. There's no way I can know for sure, but okay, you've had this experience. But then you talk about faith. So I'm wondering where the faith comes in. Because what about that experience is supplemented by faith? Are you having faith in what you think caused it? Or how is the faith coming into this?
My faith, I think, is the best way I can articulate it is that I believe in what's around me. I try to be a very factual person, and I try to believe in what I feel and see and hear. And if it's genuine, and I can usually tell if it's genuine and everything, I don't know how to explain how I can tell. I just can. I don't know how to explain that I have certain gifts of prophetic dreams and things like that. My mom knows that I have premonitions. And she's Mormon, like full-fledged Mormon. And my son, who told me to call here, he wanted me to call to help maybe open people's minds to realize that there is, I don't know how to prove it, but there is definitely something out there.
It's interesting.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's energy. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. So that's the thing is I've been learning a lot about quantum physics because I love space. And apparently, if you go and watch, there's tons of documentaries that you can watch, but there's something called dark energy and dark matter. And those are two things that are out in the universe that occupy a lot of space, and we don't understand them. The only reason we gave them the names dark energy and dark matter is because we couldn't think of anything else to call it, and we don't know what it is. So could it be that? I mean, I don't know. That's the thing, is it could be anything, but I'm not going to say that it's a deity. I'm not going to say that it's a god. I'm not going to say that it's, a higher power. It just is. It's just the universe, and it's just existing, and it's just there, and things happen and things don't happen, and I don't understand why I have to claim that I know why everything's happening when I don't.
Yeah, I wish I could explain. What you just said was perfect, because that's exactly how I feel. It's just something is just there. I don't know what it is. I don't know who it is. If it is a who, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. It's a bummer for me because I feel like I think people think I'm crazy.
No, you're not crazy. You're just human.
I just but I feel bad when people don't believe in anything.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel, because that's the thing is nobody doesn't believe in anything.
Right.
And when we're talking about atheists, the claim of an atheist is just that we don't accept your claim that there is something supernatural out there. It's not that we don't believe in
supernatural.
anything.
It's if you, Angela, if you don't believe in a God, that one does exist for sure, then you're also an atheist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's all it means.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that. My son, he's autistic. He doesn't really explain things very well.
That's okay.
Well, a lot of people have confusion about what
between the
atheist means and the different definitions, but most atheists will tell you that it's just we don't believe for sure that there is a God, right? And there might be, we just won't know and can't know. Yeah. And so we don't believe in it. And that sounds like what you are too. So welcome to the club, I guess.
Yeah, you can, and you can use the word or you can not use the word. It's completely up to you. You can do whatever you want.
I didn't know that because I told the lady or the person on the phone before I got in the queue, I don't know what I am because I was Christian and now I'm kind of pagan, but I use that more as a lifestyle rather than a religion.
That's fine.
And I mean, aliens could be God for all I know. I don't.
That's what I'm saying is, there could be aliens. I mean, if you want aliens, just go look in the ocean.
Oh, yeah. We know
There's
nothing
some
about
crazy
the ocean.
looking creatures in the ocean.
Crazy.
Anyway, so we're going to move on to other callers, but thank you so much for calling and sharing your views and see if you can do a little more research and figure out what is there, and then we can talk about it some more.
Yeah, maybe check out auditory hallucinations and just do some research and see if you can maybe check one of the boxes. And maybe weed some stuff out that way.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for calling, Angela.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. That's another thing is that memory is also tricky.
Right. Because you don't remember memories correctly. You remember remembering your memory.
And every time you remember it differently. That's something I learned on brain games and TED Talks and things like that is because when you remember a memory, you know those games where you play and they change like one detail of it and then they flash it again and they change another detail of it and they flash it again, you change another detail and you can't tell the difference because your brain it's not designed to pick that kind of thing up because it doesn't care. And so it's like, well, every time you remember something, that happens again and again. And that, she could have heard something. I mean, she could have heard something on the radio and it sounded like it came out of her head. I mean, you just never, it could be anything.
It could be. And also, the way that you word things matters too. So that's why I was curious because she mentioned stuff about covens and priests and stuff like that. If you guys probably know the car experiment where they showed a car crash and they used the word when the cars bumped into each other for some and then smashed into each other for others, and the people remembered more broken glass that wasn't there.
It changes your memory.
If they heard smashed instead of bumped. So even the way that you use words for yourself with the people around you will influence the way you perceive the world.
And if you think that you have some kind of epiphany and you start sharing it with all your friends and start telling everybody about it and you tell it 50,000 times and every time you tell it, it gets a little bit more dramatic, well...
It's a fish story.
Yeah, so... All right, who do you want to talk to next? We've got...
It looks like we've got one theist on the line right now.
Let's go to an atheist then. Let's go to George in Oklahoma. George, can you hear us?
Hello?
Hi, you're on with Jenna and Vi. It looks like...
Okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you. It looks like you're in a relationship with a believer.
I am, but it's very unconventional. Just quick backstory. I'm 42. I married really young when I was 18, and me and her, we lasted a couple of years and got divorced. After that, I ended up in a relationship with a man 25 years older than me.
Okay.
We moved here to Oklahoma, became pretty successful, had a good life. He died of a heart attack 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And ever since then, we both believe in God. We always
Believed or believe? I'm sorry.
Well, that's why I'm calling. I was raised not to go to church every week, but my parents are religious in their own way. I have an older sister that's 20 years older than me, but she's a Lutheran pastor and has been pretty much my whole life. And so I talked to her about some things, but so we've never really been like super religious, but when me and my partner were coming out or were being found out, his church, who he was very much involved in, the senior elders there got together, kind of made a trap for us, called us both down there, belittled us. They even told his wife about it. They didn't even give him a chance to. It was awful. He never set foot in church again. But he still maintained that he believed in God till the day he died.
Right.
I go through a period about every 10 years where I believe in God, but I also believe what I can see and test and my knowledge, and, so it wavers. Now, current history, I didn't know this, but I'm in a relationship with another guy who I didn't know he was married, but he is. And he's also very heavily into the Baptist religion. I mean, so much so, he even admitted to me that it's like a cult.
Okay.
Because his job, his life, it's all about the Baptists. You have to, and anyway, I've known him for over a year, and he's almost delusioned himself into believing that he's bad. God's going to, spank him because, our feelings for each other. He has admitted that he's trying to convert me to his way of thinking. He takes me to church on Sunday, and I do enjoy going because I don't get out of my house very often except to go to work. So it's nice being around other people, and I like it when they sing the songs. It's kind of a good energy. It doesn't mean I believe everything thrown at me, but I like to be around people. And I've kind of gotten in the habit of I like to go, but at the same time, I feel like I'm supposed to buy into everything he tells me. And when I try to be rational with him and say, look, I just want to know why you think this. And I'll give, I watch the show a lot. Actually, I discovered you guys on a trip with him about 8 months ago in San Antonio. I was in the hotel room with nothing to do, and I found you guys on YouTube. And I must have watched all day, just struggling with it.
I did the same thing.
Me too.
Yeah, I showed my friend some of the videos, and I said, look, I mean, how can you not entertain the idea, that we might be wrong, or you might be wrong, or not everybody's right. And he's like, because I've experienced God. And I said, well, I thought I did too, but how do you really know? And it's almost like beating my head against a brick wall, and I just don't know what to do.
Yeah. I mean, my first thought would be, I totally get how having a community to go to every Sunday is awesome, because I come here every Sunday and it's awesome. My
partner was everything to me. So after he died, our friends and family, it's like I have nobody but my friend, and that's the only activity that I get to do.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I would first suggest maybe trying to find maybe a Unitarian Universalist church, or go on Meetup and find maybe some secular groups in your area, because I guarantee there are some out there. You just have to, use the Google machine. But also, if a partner is trying to force you to think a certain way about anything, not just religion, and gets upset if you have opinions of your own or opinions that conflict, that's a very, very big red flag. Not just for that conversation, but in general. So I don't know your relationship.
My life is in chaos right now, and he keeps saying, like my car went out last week, and it turned out to be something really minor. But at the time, we didn't know that, and he's like, on the way down to Toyota, you really just need to pray for a service rep that's going to be good to you. And I mean, at the time, I'm upset because I just bought this car a month ago.
Right.
And so, I mean, I just get tired of being told that I'm not praying hard enough, or I, need to let God into my heart, when I already feel like I've done that my entire life, off and on. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call myself a full-blown Christian by any means, but my partner believed in God, and I want to believe in God, just because I want to know my partner's okay. He's dead. It's very traumatic, but at the same time, I just can't buy into so much of it,
So your partner knows that you don't believe right now, right?
Well, my partner, he died 2 years ago, but at the time that he died, we both believed in God, but we agreed with each other. And keep in mind, he never set foot in church again because of what happened to us. But he believed that God is good, God will take care of everything, and that's pretty much
Wait,
the extent of where he went with it.
I thought you were in a relationship currently with somebody that's a Baptist.
Well,
that
I
was
am,
separate.
but it's secret. This guy turned out to be married.
So is this the guy that's trying to convert you, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so this is
yeah.
what I'm talking about. Does this guy know that you don't believe?
He knows I'm struggling with it.
He knows you're struggling.
Knows that I'm struggling with it. Some days I'll feel like I really have the Holy Spirit in my heart. I really feel like I do some days.
Mm-hmm.
And then other days I'll think, well, I'm just an idiot because how is that even possible? He got us these workbooks to complete. I forget what it's called.
This guy sounds
it's on
like
my counter.
a project.
It's something that we can do together, an activity that we get together about once a week, and we sit down and do a chapter or two of our own little Bible study.
Right. I mean, it is a project. You know, that's what it is. That's what we're told that it is. It's a game or a test that you're supposed to figure out, right?
Right. I'm just.
Yeah.
I don't.
So I would try, honestly, personally.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what I would do?
Please.
If I was in your shoes, I would tell the person that I'm in the relationship with that I am questioning and I don't want to be badgered or pushed or taught. I don't want to be taught anything. I want to figure this out myself. And because I'm not going to take anybody else's word for it, right? Because you say that if you feel the Holy Spirit or if you don't, that's something that you feel or you don't. It's not somebody else that's going to be able to convince you of that, right? And so I would ask them to stop and see what they do. Because if they don't stop,
right,
then I think that's a pretty big red flag that they have insincere intentions, right?
Yeah.
Or that they value God over me or whatever. But if they do stop and they give me space, then I would use that time to actually do whatever work I can and ask as many different people as I can. Because the thing is, if you only ask people from the same church, you're going to get a lot of the same answers because they hear the same preacher talk every Sunday. You know, they talk to each other during donuts and all that. But if you start talking to people from different churches and different denominations and different religions and try to ask them, okay, well, why do you believe that? And why do you believe that? And why do you believe that? And then try to take it in for yourself and then decide, well, what do I believe and why? And I think that's the best way to try to figure out if you believe it, is to ask yourself those questions. Yeah. Ask other people those questions, see what they come up with.
Yeah.
I have a problem with the hypocrisy because he's inducted into the Baptist church, but that being said, yes, I go to that church too. I take care of people with disabilities there. However, instead of going to that church most of the time, we go to, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, Life Church. And we go to Life Church, and he likes going there, and I like going there more too. It's more fun, but so I've attended many different churches with him. It's just he gets to this point where I tell him, like, okay, I'm having trouble believing this. And he says, okay, I'll back off. I'm not going to bring this up anymore. That lasts about a day or two, maybe 3. And
right,
we're back to,
exactly.
could you pray?
Then you know.
It's not going, yeah.
Then you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I would,
I really didn't mean to end up in this situation. I have he's my best friend. And,
it doesn't mean they're a bad person.
Friend, really.
Right, exactly. And here's the thing. What I would do next, and I think we're going to have to move to some other people, but what I would do at this point is maybe draw some boundaries. You know, don't cut them out or anything, but say, here is where we can go in our conversation, and here is where we can't go. Mm-hmm. And if they respect that, that's great. If not, then you need to remove yourself a little bit from that friendship because they don't value you as a person with opinions. Also, again, I know it can be difficult to get out there and find new people, but maybe go to a church by yourself or go somewhere else on a Sunday that has a lot of people.
Go to a park.
Yeah, just have these kinds of conversations because it sounds like you're looking for answers, but you're kind of only maybe going to 1 or 2 people. So the more people you go to, the bigger your sample size is going to be, and that's always good because science,
right?
I've always been bad about that. I basically needed y'all to tell me to do that. I am awful when it comes to putting myself out there. I really am, and I need to because this life is not. You know, when my partner died, and you know this guy being my only friend, that's not what I pictured my life to be. So, I really do appreciate you guys' input.
Yeah,
well, thank you for calling.
And call in again if you've got more questions, or let us know how you're doing.
I will. Thank you guys so much.
Nice talking to you, George.
Bye.
Bye. What a nice guy.
Yeah.
Let's go to Justin. Let's see. Justin, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey.
Hi, Justin.
You're talking to Jenna and Vi. It says that there's a purpose and meaning in the universe, which means that God exists. It is a proven fact. Awesome.
No, I'm sorry. I'm speaking to Janet.
Jenna and Vi.
Jenna and Vi. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for asking.
So just full disclosure, not only am I claiming that, but I'm also claiming that I'm God's messenger. I have a YouTube channel called God's Messenger.
Oh, I think
Claiming
I've heard of you. You've been on the show before, have you not?
Oh, no, I haven't. This is my first time.
Okay.
Was another God's
Awesome.
messenger, apparently.
Well, he has many.
Okay.
I'm claiming that God has revealed the universe to me, and I've explained how the universe works.
Wait, what does that mean? Revealed the universe to you. What does that mean?
I had epiphany. It came to me. Like
What
I
came to
understood
you?
how the universe works.
How the universe works? Like a math equation or?
No, like how the truth about how the universe works, how everything works, the depth behind how everything works. So the universe just means everything.
Like a map?
Yes. Well, I draw a map in my video, P2, how the universe works. You could YouTube search it, P2, how the universe works.
Okay,
And
so
I-
why should we believe that you had this epiphany and that it's from God?
Okay, so first of all, when I say that I'm God's messenger, all I mean is that I'm speaking truths. So if someone were to
That's
tell
not
you-
the same thing. Those are two very different
Why
things.
wouldn't you just say you're speaking truths?
Well, because the truth is something that I'm submitting to. So
Wait, hold on. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, honestly, I'm sorry. When you're talking about somebody or something, revealing the universe to you, and you're God's messenger, but that only means that you're speaking in truth. Like, why are you going to great lengths to put this into, like, fluffy language?
Okay, so I don't mean to put anything in fluffy language, so I'll explain it perfectly.
Cool.
The fact that God, I don't mean to put anything in fluffy language.
Yeah, I just prefer,
what I'm saying is that-
normal, like, what do you believe?
Well, no problem. Well, the reason why I call the thing that revealed to me, this thing God, is because I'm in submission to it. So anything that you're in submission to is called a God. God is just a title that you put on things, like president.
Oh, so anything that we are submissive to, we can call a God. So that's the definition that we're working with. Yeah, I can work with that. There are things that I submit to, and I believe in that.
Yeah, and completely give yourself to. So God's plural.
Wait, completely give yourself to? What does that mean?
So I completely submit to it. So anything that is true, I believe. No matter what it is, as long as it's true, I believe it.
How do you know if it's true?
Yeah.
Well, in the same way that you know that anything is true. So
I don't know anything is true necessarily.
That's true. We're both agnostics.
Okay, well, I have some pills for you guys that will...
Why would I take your pills if you're talking about...
Well, no, but the pills that I'm selling you are true. How do you know that they're not true?
I don't know that they
That's
are,
not
so I'm
how
not
it
putting them in
works.
my body.
No, that's not how it works. You don't have to prove something is not true. You have to prove that something is true.
I believe I agree with you 100%. All I'm
Okay.
saying is that we are rational people who decide things are true and not true all day, every day.
Right.
We are people
try to sell
that...
stuff.
Hold on. I'm trying to follow you. Can you just slow down just a little bit? So we are rational. Some people are rational. Some people are not.
Okay, so rational people make decisions about what is true every day. So I would functionally true, yes.
Let's define true.
Right.
So truth is the opposite of what is false.
The opposite of what is not true.
Okay,
So what is
false?
truth? What is false?
So what I'm saying again is that because I'm claiming to be God's messenger or the presenter.
You're not answering my question, though.
Question me. No, I'm trying to. I'm sorry, but I could provide evidence for anything that I'm saying. So if someone is claiming to have a truth claim, they could provide evidence for what they're claiming.
Right.
If someone is lying, if someone is lying, then they cannot provide evidence for their lie.
Well, they can try.
And so we know.
Hold on.
We know.
Hold on. So if I can't prove to you that Little Mermaid doesn't exist, does that mean that she does?
I'm sorry. You cannot prove that Little Mermaids exist. Well, we know that Little Mermaids are an imagination of someone.
Hold on. I'm asking you a question. If I can't prove to you that Little Mermaids do not exist, if I can't prove that, does that mean that they do?
Well, no. The fact that you can't doesn't mean anything, because I know from my own knowledge that Little Mermaids
so
are
you're the
imagination.
deciding factor because you're God's messenger,
No, not
right?
me at all. Not me at all. Not me at all. No, not me at
Okay.
all. I don't matter at all.
Okay.
I don't matter at all.
Okay.
Justin does not matter. The only thing that matters is a rational mind, and a rational mind.
But you just said all humans are
imaginary.
rational minds.
No. Well, then I apologize. I mean that there are rational minds. Like in a court of law, there's a reasonable person standard. What does a reasonable person will know? So as a society, we know that a reasonable person should know certain things.
Well, but reasonable
That's
people
how we
can
know
be
things
wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But in law, we know that there are reasonable people. And so reasonable people would know that there are no Little Mermaids, like you just try to explain.
But hold on. So when we're talking about what reasonable people believe and don't believe,
I would posit that reasonable people don't believe that you're God's messenger. How do we get around that?
I would say it's reasonable to believe that there's no reason to believe in any gods.
Absolutely. But you saying that there's no reason to believe in gods is like me saying there's no reason to believe in presidents. God is
Why
just a
would you
title.
say that? Why would you say that those are like the same thing when you can't prove that that you can prove that presidents exist, but you can't prove that gods exist?
Okay, presidents is
We
just
got
a
all
title.
this far just from trying to get him to define truth.
It's a journey.
I know, but
It is.
So you're asking, how do I know presidents exist and gods don't exist?
I didn't ask you that.
Presidents are just gods. Are
I'm
just a
telling
title
you
I-
that when you say that for me not to believe in a God is like for you to not believe in a president, I'm saying how can you say that? That's not the same thing. I can prove
because
that presidents exist, and nobody has ever been able to prove that any gods exist.
well, that's a false claim. I'm sorry. No, don't disrespect.
Then we
but
wouldn't have a
God-
show.
Yeah, I know, but God.
Several
is the
shows.
title.
Actually, you know what? I actually really like talking to you, and I really appreciate your honesty. You're doing great, and I really appreciate you. Eric Murphy is here, and he would really like to talk to you on Talk Heathen next week. They come on at 1 p.m. Central. Where are you? You're in New Jersey. Yeah, so they'll be on at 1 p.m. Central, and Eric Murphy would love to talk to you.
Okay. My YouTube channel is God's Messenger. You could contact
Cool.
me at that email. God. Yeah.
Okay.
You could contact me there. And
I probably won't reach out to you, but if you want to call Talk Heathen next week, Eric would love to talk to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks. Okay. Wow. All right. Oh, we got somebody named Heathen Hammer. I like your name, Heathen Hammer. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me on the show.
Awesome. It says that there's a possibility of a higher power, and your dog had an experience?
Yeah. I think there's a possibility of a higher power. I
Okay.
don't know if there is or not. I think, there's a possibility for a lot of things, I guess.
So if there's why should we explore it any further?
Well, I guess it's just seeking knowledge and
Because I'll accept that there's a possibility. I'm already with you there. There's a possibility.
but that's it. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I can't. I'm not really. I really wanted to talk about my dog's experience personally.
What do you mean?
Well, I had a dog for years.
But what experience? What kind of experience? How are you going to
Okay,
talk
I'll-
about your dog's experience? That's what I'm confused about.
All right, let me see if I can explain it.
Sure.
I raised the dog since he was a puppy. He's gone now. He's a pit bull terrier. Very good member of the family. I love that dog.
Mm-hmm.
One day I'm watching a movie, and it was the Sixth Sense, as a matter of fact. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching a movie, and all of a sudden the dog was laying on the floor on the rug. I had a little spot for him to lay. Yeah, he could go anywhere he wanted, but he had a little spot I made for him, and that's where he liked to go. And all of a sudden he got up and he's looking up at the corner above the TV.
Okay.
And he just starts growling and starts going nuts. I'm like, what's up with the dog, you know? I'm looking at him, is there something I'm not seeing? There's a spider crawling around or something.
Yeah.
And it was the weirdest thing, and he's just barking and growling up at the corner. And all of a sudden, he ran behind the chair. I'm calling the dog. His name was Duke. I said, Duke, come here, Duke, come on. And he wouldn't come out. And then he'd peek out, and he'd look up at the corner. And he got... my dog was a brave dog, you know, and it was like he was scared. And he'd go back behind the chair. And I'm like, what the heck is this dog doing? I'm looking up and there's nothing in I can't see nothing in the corner. And he looks back out again, looks dead up at the corner and ducks behind the chair. Then after like maybe 5 minutes of this going on, I call him and he comes out and he's slinking like he's terrified. And as he's slinking, I'm watching him and I could see he's got his eyes over up at the corner, and he comes up and he buries his head where my back is meeting the couch, like he's trying to hide his head, you know. And then I moved and I got him up, and he refused to look at the corner. And then all of a sudden he just he became normal, and he's looking around, and you know, I thought that was a pretty weird thing. Then another time.
Well, so hold on. So what do you think that's evidence for?
I don't know.
I think that's a pretty good answer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that summation.
I mean, I've seen lots of animals do lots of weird things like that. I mean, I've had animals my whole life.
That's not the first time I've heard that kind of a
my
story.
My cat does stuff like that, too. Yeah. My cat likes to play with air.
Oh, they run around. Oh, that's funny when they do that.
Oh, yeah. Like he'll chase air.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. And there was another time.
Well,
I got up. Okay.
I think we're going to move on to other callers, but thank you for calling. And maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I think you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Saying I don't know is probably the best thing you can say when you come across something that puzzles you like that.
Yeah.
With no explanation.
But just keep asking questions and keep, maybe look into it. Because I found that whenever I have a question that's random like that, like I was walking up to work and there was just like an awesome sunrise one morning and it was crazy. I was like, I wonder what makes the sunrise more, colorful one day versus another day. And so I just started looking into it. And instead of going, oh, well, that's because Jesus is with me today. It's like, it's apparently because the more pollution in the air, the more colorful it is. So just, asking questions like that, you can learn.
Yeah.
There are people who specialize their entire lives in specific things like the bumblebees and, water particles in the clouds. And, there are tons of people who study this stuff and put it out there on the internet. And I think that we're so freaking lucky these days that we just have all of this information at our fingertips. So, yeah, just keep asking questions and see what you can come up with. Thanks for calling.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Talk to you later. Oh, thanks. Okay. So we've got... Let's go to David.
Yes, let's go to David.
Hi, David.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. You're talking to Jenna and Vi. It looks like the ACA coincides with the Church of Satan. I didn't know that. Everything you espouse is textbook satanic. Okay, where are you getting this from?
The testimony of the high priest of the Satanic Church and quotes from Anton LaVey.
Okay.
He called us out and said that we took his stuff?
Is he filing a copyright lawsuit?
We went back to the 60s.
Back in the 60s we did?
So y'all are kind of hijacking what he was already espousing.
We weren't open in the 60s.
Yeah. Okay, so why call in about this?
Yeah, did you have a question?
Well, I'm just like, for somebody who doesn't have religious views, what y'all expose and what y'all sit there and present on the show coincides with exactly what Anton LaVey, a known Satanist, preaches.
Oh, well, maybe I should look him up.
Anton LaVey is pretty cool.
Yeah. I've actually heard some really good things about the Satanic Temple. Have you heard anything that's bad?
Well, it says right here.
But have you heard anything
that
that's
they
bad
believe-
about the Satanic Temple?
Of course.
Oh, okay. Like what?
It goes against everything that I believe in, for one.
Is that
deity of
bad?
Jesus Christ.
Wait, so it's bad to disagree with you?
Well, see, the thing is you don't have a complete lexicon of all knowledge, so actually you can't make an opinion or an assertion on anything.
So why
Well, then
are we
why are you talking
to you?
to us?
Well, like I said, I want to know how y'all sit there and act like you're coming original, but you're just promoting satanic propaganda on your TV show.
Satanic propaganda. What did I say that's satanic?
Well, give me a second. I'll read it to you.
Sure.
LeVay sought to cement his belief system within the secularist worldview that derived from natural science, thus providing him with an anti-theistic basis with which to criticize Christianity and other supernaturalist beliefs.
Yeah, I'm with him so far.
He legitimized his religion by highlighting what he claimed was its irrational nature, contrasting this with what he saw as the supernaturalist irrationality of established religions.
So, question for you. If the ACA and the Church of Satan, or the Satanic Temple, I'm not quite sure.
Satanic Temple. Church of Satan, that's what it says. Sorry.
I'm not sure which one Anton LaVey is actually
I don't know which one.
the founder of. But if we have both come to the conclusion that religion is bad by ourselves, and these are two very, we've both come to that conclusion, do you think maybe it might be true?
What I'm saying is without a complete lexicon of all knowledge, you don't have a basis to make any kind of truth assertion.
Wait, so hold on. So are you? Wait, hold on. Before you keep going, I'm going to take apart what you just said. Can you work with me here, please?
Yeah.
You just said that I can't possibly know what's true.
No, you can't.
Okay, so.
How do we know anything that you say is going to be true?
Well, let's go with.
See,
hold on. I know.
I have faith in the one who's told me what is true.
Wait, what?
And faith is easy to prove.
Faith is easy to prove.
You exercise it every day.
You don't know me.
No, it's easy. Have you ever flown on a plane?
What?
Have you ever flown on an airplane? Taken a trip on an airplane?
Maybe. Would you know? Would you know that?
The pilot was in the cockpit with the door closed flying the plane, right?
Wait, but if I tell you that I did, then I don't know what's true, so that means I didn't, right?
What I'm sitting there, I'm giving you an example, an elementary example.
I know, and I'm pointing out the ridiculousness of what you're claiming, which is that I can't possibly know anything that's true because I disagree with you.
No, what I'm sitting there saying is until you have a complete lexicon of all knowledge.
A complete lexicon of all knowledge. Where'd you get this lexicon of all knowledge?
Perfect example, like the philosophers of...
No, I'm asking you a question. Where did you get this lexicon of all knowledge?
You could... Okay. Take science, for instance.
So where did you get this lexicon of all knowledge? You're going to prove it with science?
Yeah, science is sitting there constantly doing experiments because they don't have a complete lexicon of all knowledge. They don't know everything. They haven't explored the whole universe. They haven't seen everything.
Exactly.
So therefore, they have to keep experimenting and until they can sit there and come to complete knowledge.
So you're pointing out the problem with science, right? Now, I'm asking you, if science, the problem with science is that it can't prove this lexicon of all knowledge. I'm asking, where's this lexicon of all knowledge?
It's in what I'm saying, and what I'm trying to tell you is...
I don't know why you won't just tell me where it is or what it is, but... Hello?
Okay, I'll try to explain this again.
Please.
The science know everything.
I don't know why you're answering my question with a question. I asked you a question first. Well, if you don't answer my question, then I'm going to have my first fucking hang up.
Like I said, you're back into a corner. Go ahead and hang up. Go ahead.
All right. All right, so this lexicon of all knowledge, when you find it, bring it up to the ACA.
Yeah,
we'll look over it with you. There's plenty of people here that will be able to go over it with you.
Oh my gosh, is it the Book of Eric?
Oh my God, it is!
Anything.
Well, but I don't know, because I don't know anything. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, that was just ridiculous.
That was bracing.
Jacob. Jacob, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, you're on with Jenna and Vi.
Hello, Jenna and Vi. How are you?
I'm pretty
Doing
good,
good.
but
How
it
are
looks like you're having some trouble letting go of Judaism.
Not quite.
No?
Not quite. I actually let go a couple of years ago. I was religious and I became an atheist.
Okay.
I tried to do it fast, and the reason that I'm calling is I was able to convert, forgive my English, but convert the other way, making my friends, some of them not religious, but some of them have some questions or things that I don't have answers for. And I'm not sure if you know that. Maybe you can help me on that. But on the Jewish religious, there's something that says that in the Bible you have two things that you can find the Bible wrong completely. Only two things. This is the claim. Two things that if you find them wrong, that everything is wrong. There's no God. Now I know that even though even if we prove that the Bible is not written by a human being, it still doesn't say that there is God. But for me, it's a problem that I cannot find anything against it. So see if you can help me on that. So it says on two things. One of them, it's impossible to prove, and that's if you donate 10% of what you earned, you have to be rich or something like that. So that's, for me, it's not even worth the response on it. But
wait, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm following you. You're saying that I don't know what you're getting at. I'm so sorry.
The religious in Jewish Bible.
In the Jewish Bible, it says that the Christian Bible is wrong?
No, nothing to do with the Christian Bible. It's the Bible. It says that if you find there are two places in the Bible that it says that God says.
If you prove these things wrong in the Bible, then that proves that there's no God.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of them, if you donate 10% of what you earned, it's a guarantee for you to be rich.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to respond to that. That's not worth it.
Yeah, no, it's not.
The other one is actually hard.
Okay.
And forgive my English for that. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
But it says that a fish has a fin and scale. And it says that if you find a fish that doesn't have, that has scales and doesn't have fins, then there's no God.
I can find one.
Which one?
I mean, I can take the fins off of a fish.
No, it's meaning that it's about kosher, man. That they tell.
Oh, it has to be born that way. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be born that way, and that they tell you even if you cut the fish and you find that it has scales, it has to have a fin. And they actually tried to disprove it, and they found that they have like more than 30,000 species, and none of them had it.
Okay.
Scales and no fin.
Cool.
And for me, it's very hard, and I'm not sure what to answer.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of claims in a lot of Bibles that are, outrageous. Like I don't know much about the Jewish Bible, so I personally can't go into a lot of details because I've never read it. I've never been to a synagogue or anything like that. But I know a lot about the Christian Bible, and I know that there's a lot of things in there that are really weird, like, that women are dirty when they're menstruating. It's like, I don't understand why that would be in there. I don't understand why that would be a thing, And so when I hear things like, oh, well, if you find a fish that doesn't have any fins or scales, it's like, it's just as ridiculous of a claim. Like, why would you say that? Where do you get this stuff from,
Well, I think it's probably a very...
To be... Sorry?
I would say, so how about this? How about if you can find a horse that has wings...
Right.
Then you can prove that I am not God.
Yeah.
I am God until you find a horse that has wings. You can say that about anything. and it doesn't prove anything. I think it's probably just making up. I don't know. I think it's just a silly book. Well, yeah.
It's actually not bad. The horse without
Yeah,
wings.
that's a good.
Yeah. So say okay, fine. Until I find a fish that has scales and no fins, God is God. But until I find a horse with wings, there is also a God-eating penguin named Steve.
Yeah, she came up with a much better.
So you can make up one too about anything. You can say you have to give me $10 every week until you find a horse with wings.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys.
And the other one is close to the $10. That's
Right?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, does that help?
It's not bad. Yeah, I can use the wings and the horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, try it out and then call us back and let us know what they say.
Great. Thank you very much for your show, and I appreciate it a lot. I think it's good.
All right, nice talking to you, Jacob. All right, we're moving along.
Okay.
That was a good one. Horse with wings, fish with no scales.
Like, you can make up a random scenario and say, until you prove this wrong, then I'm right.
Yeah.
But that's
like when pigs fly.
Right, exactly.
You know? All right, so let's go to Lou. Lou, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
can.
hello.
You're talking to Jenna and Vi. And it says here you have a personal experience with the Christian God.
Yes, that's why I'm calling.
Awesome.
Okay. The reason I'm calling is because I discovered you guys a few weeks ago, and I listened to a lot of the clips on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the objections, I admit that some of them I don't have. I admit that I don't have all of the answers. I may have some of them, but not all of the answers to the objections that atheists have.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, I have had a personal, several actually, but one in particular that I'm thinking of, a personal experience with God. And when I say God, I mean the Christian God, Jesus, etc. And it's something that hasn't happened yet, but it's something that's going to happen to me in the public view in the future.
Oh.
And my question, the reason why I'm calling,
Mm-hmm.
is this is my question. If I were to record myself and show the date, like say, hey, this is today,
Mm-hmm.
this is something that's going to happen to me in the future, and the only reason I know this is going to happen is because God told me, and it's something that, in my opinion, and I believe the opinion of most people, would be something that I wouldn't know unless God told me. Would that be sufficient evidence for you, or let's say atheists in general, to say that God is real?
No, for a couple reasons. And this is assuming that the thing then does happen to you later, right?
Yeah, assuming it happens, right.
Yeah, okay.
Assuming I'm being honest and stuff.
So there are a couple things that I would be hesitant about. The first being, if you know a prophecy beforehand, you can then make it happen, which is how a lot of the prophecy in the Bible happened, because people had access to the Old Testament while they were writing the New Testament. And so they could then look at the prophecies that they were told were going to happen and then wrote about them and that they happened. So my first question would be, okay, so this guy either honestly believes that he had this epiphany from Jesus, or is claiming to, I don't know, but he's saying this thing is going to happen to him, and then it happens. My first thought is not, oh, that's clearly prophecy. It's, oh, somehow he made this happen, or he put himself into a situation where that thing could happen.
Okay, and the reason why I'm asking, the reason for the call is because obviously I want to, like before the thing does happen, I would like to find a way to be convincing to atheists to show evidence. So that's why I'm asking the question before it happens. That's why. It's not so much to, it's just to say, like, I know it's going to happen. Let's say, based on my experience, I'm making that claim.
Can I give
and
you...
I want to have the evidence.
sorry. So can I give you an example of why I don't think that you would find many atheists who will accept the things that you will probably be coming up with? Can I give you an example, like a metaphor to try to help you visualize why? So if I were to tell you, and I think I've brought up a similar example on this show before, where if I were to tell you that I had a car outside that flies and runs on milk.
Okay.
How could I prove to you that I do, in fact, have that car that flies and runs on milk with your knowledge so far about reality?
Well, just to go with your example, I know that cars generally, to my knowledge, don't run on milk and they don't fly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to see the car fly and run on milk, I guess.
Right. So that's like a crazy claim that I would have a car like that, considering what we know about cars and how they run on gasoline and how heavy they are and how they do not fly yet, right?
Sure.
So in order for you to believe that, you would have to go all the way to the extremes of probably seeing it, seeing me put milk in it, seeing it run, right? There would have to be a number of things that I would have to do to convince you that that's not only that's actually true, right?
Okay.
So using that example, so it's like if you were trying to convince me that you have this God, and this God is watching me at all times. It knows what I'm thinking. It knows what I've thought before. It knows what I'm going to think, what I'm going to do. This to me is an extraordinary claim, much more extraordinary than a car that flies and runs on milk, because I don't even have a way to go and test this. Like, for me to prove to you that it's there, you could go look at it. This isn't even something I could go and find to look at. I have nothing that I can test. I have nothing that I can use to prove it other than, well, I heard someone who knew someone who said that this thing might have happened a long time ago. And it's like, yeah, but that's not a good enough reason to believe that I have a car that runs on milk or something to that extreme, do you see where I'm going with this?
Kind of, not completely, but kind of, and that's like I said, that's the reason for the call. So before the thing happened, I'm trying to avoid, criticism from non-believers, and I'm trying to see how best to avoid that before it happens. So you're saying that if I were to record and say, look, this is the date, and this is something that is going to happen to me in the future because God told me so, that wouldn't be sufficient evidence.
Well, no, because God told me so part, I think also. That's the other problem that I have with this. Mm-hmm. If you said, I know that this thing is going to happen to me, and then it happens to you, and it's not something as mundane as like getting up in the morning or drinking tea or whatever.
It's not it's not like,
yeah. If it's a unique experience, right? And let's grant that you had some kind of premonition about this and then it happens, that still doesn't get me an onlooker to because of God, especially a specific God. Mm-hmm. That's the jump that you're going to ask atheists to make, apparently, that they're not going to be able to.
That's where you're going to lose us.
Right.
And that's the thing. So if you're real quick, if your goal is simply to not get criticized, then I would say to stop telling them things. Just ask them what they believe and why they believe it, and put them on the spot. Make them tell you why they don't believe, and go with that.
Well, I haven't put myself out there like that at all at this point in that way. When I say criticize, I just mean if I'm making a specific claim, I'm talking about this specific claim, just to say. This is going to happen. I'm telling you the source of my information is from God. I'm trying to avoid criticism of that, to say, because you say, okay, if let's say I make a claim, God told me this, and then it's not something mundane, and I record myself, you said, okay, that wouldn't be sufficient evidence. So I'm trying to figure out what would be sufficient evidence, like in a prophetic type of situation, for that I could present to, let's say, an atheist or a non-believer.
Good Omens. Have you seen Good Omens or read the book?
No, I haven't.
Okay. In the book and TV series, there is a book of prophecy, okay? But the book of prophecy prophesies what I'm doing at every minute. So I'll be reading the book of prophecy, right? And I'll turn the page and it'll go, V, your water is getting, the ice is melting in your water or whatever, right? And that would be like, what? What is this? You know, how would it know? It's ancient. And yet I turn the page and it says on this date, you are on the Atheist Experience with Jenna Belk. How would it know that? That might be convincing. But having somebody say something is going to happen and then it happens is not enough for me.
Yeah.
Well, it's something specific. That's what I mean. That's what. So that's what. So
how specific?
If it's something specific,
like, is it going to include a timestamp and a name? And, like, how specific?
Yeah. Do you mind if we ask what this thing is that's going to happen to you?
I can't reveal it because if I do, then I disturb the whole. But if I record it, then and show it and show the time that I'm recording it, then that would be.
I mean,
to show that I knew.
See, that's the thing. Photoshop's real.
Yeah, that too. I mean, it's very easy to put a timestamp on a video.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I got to tell you, I don't know what would work, but I also got to say, I don't think I would be convinced.
Okay. Well, I figured I would just ask, but I guess you would have to judge it when it would happen.
Sure, go ahead and post it. You know, tag us in it. We'll see.
As long as you're safe, don't do anything unsafe. Yeah. And if you feel like you're not safe, maybe tell someone.
I mean, you can always email us at tv@atheist-community.org, and we can see if any of the hosts at all, because a lot of people have access to it, so we can see if anybody wants to take you up on it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, fair enough. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for calling, Lou.
Take care. Bye.
I'm a little concerned for him. He's
I kind of want to know what it is.
Something's going to happen to me. I'm like, are you okay?
I want to know. I don't want to know what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've piqued our interest at least.
Right? If we get an email, we'll let you know what happens. Okay, let's go with Luke. Luke, it says here that you are worried about psychopaths that are being controlled by religion. Yeah, me too. What's up? You're talking to Jenna and Vi.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. Yeah, I was worried about psychopaths. I think that psychopaths are people who are otherwise morally underdeveloped in a Piaget developmental sort of way. I think that the narrative of religion is sort of like moral training wheels for them, and I'm worried that by taking away their training wheels that will have effectively tipped them over, and I don't think there is a effective secular substitute for people who are fundamentally incapable of empathy.
I mean, that's a valid concern. I don't think that last bit I agree with.
Yeah.
But everything up until then, I do. I think that there are definitely some people who use religion as kind of that mainstay in those training wheels. And if you took those off, they'd probably fall over and hurt other people. But I'm curious why you don't think that secular humanism or just, psychotherapy or, different kinds of preventative measures would do the trick for that.
Specifically with psychopaths, because
why are we picking on psychopaths?
Secular, because that everyone else, they're capable of empathy, and for them, I think secular morality and all the other stuff is the right direction to go.
Why do you think that people who can't feel empathy are immoral?
Well, I think that morality is when we act on our empathy.
Why?
Because every action associated with acting on empathy is colloquially what we are talking about when we talk about people doing good. We're talking about people acting empathetically.
I mean, I'm sure empathy makes it easier.
It can be helpful.
But I don't think that it's the end-all, be-all. I think that you can objectively, rationally know what is the right answer to a question and one that would cause the least harm and choose that option just because you know that choosing a different option would probably make your life worse. You know, like if I don't have empathy and I see somebody and I'm driving and they're walking across the street and not using the crosswalk, I don't have to think, oh, that poor person, they will be so hurt if I hit them. I think if I hit that person, I'm probably going to go to jail. That's what would, if I didn't have empathy, that would still stop me from hitting the person.
Does that make her immoral?
Well, that's kind of getting to the point of what I was talking about. See, now we've substituted the state for God. So in a case where they know that
we've substituted what for God?
We've substituted the state, the government. So now instead of being afraid of God, because in your example, they wouldn't do it because they're afraid of getting caught by the government rather than being caught by God.
She was just giving an example of one reason why somebody who can't feel empathy might avoid killing somebody.
Right. It could
be
that
there could be many other things.
I would be socially isolated from the group if I was acting in a way that wasn't, in
it could be,
moral.
I don't like blood and guts.
Well,
I mean, it could be a number of things.
Yeah.
It could be I don't have time for this.
I'm specifically referring to especially situations where like they know that there won't be any witnesses and that kind of thing.
So you're not talking about all psychopaths or sociopaths. You're just talking about a small subsect that want to commit crimes and therefore will because God isn't watching them?
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're not talking about psychopaths.
Right,
you're talking about people that you think are bad.
Right. Because this is a whole other topic.
Right?
Talking about people who want to do bad things because they don't believe that there will be any repercussions.
So why do you think that is... So that's the thing. When somebody does want to do something that you think is bad, what I'm confused about is why anybody else thinks that they know why that person chose to do that thing. Because the fact is that, there could be a number of reasons why anybody does anything, and I can't possibly know what is in Vi's head no matter what she tells me. No matter what her mother tells me about how she grew up, no matter what her best friend tells me, no matter what she tells me to my face and how I know that she's an honest person, that doesn't mean that everything that comes out of her mouth is 100% accurate. So do you see why I'm stumped?
I'm not sure.
I think the issue here is that you seem to be making assumptions about why people do bad things.
But that's the thing, is you can think that something is bad, and it could be bad for you, but it could be really good for me. Just to take your walking across the street example.
Yeah.
And this is just an example. It's completely hypothetical. I'm not saying that it's good to go out and hit people with your car. What I am saying is that it is possible that hitting somebody with your car may have positive consequences, okay? It's possible, yes, obviously there will probably be some bad things that are going to happen if somebody dies because they have family and people will be affected and there's all kinds of things. But it's possible that there are good things. Maybe that person was going to experience an entire rest of their life of pain and suffering, and they were about to get kidnapped. And this way, they died, at least in a state that their family can remember them in a positive way. There's just a multitude of things that can happen that you have no idea about that could be good for some people and bad for others, and you just don't know. So for you to say, I think that what you're doing is bad, that means that you're immoral. It's like, yeah, but...
And not just immoral, it's psychopath.
Right.
No, so I think we're getting off topic here. Because you've moved the goalposts, right? You started out by saying, I'm worried that psychopaths who do not feel empathy and cannot
well, I did that.
use
I
that
redirected.
that without religion, they would then, have problems integrating into society. And then you made the claim that secular morality or secular humanism or the state, whatever that is. And if you're the guy from Twitter, hi, because I've been talking about this with a guy from Twitter before, then...
I haven't mentioned this on Twitter.
Okay. That's another guy talking about the state. Okay. You made this claim that for some reason religion is the best way to, deter immoral action. And that's the part I
would not
disagree
say
with.
that in the general case. I would say that the narrative that something bad will happen to you by an authority figure, regardless of any living thing that is witnessing, is sort of a necessary paranoia.
Okay. Let me see if I can break this down for you just a little bit. And I'm not an evolutionary biologist or psychologist at all, but I agree that we are a social species, and one of the main reasons that we do things that benefit the group is because we are afraid that deviating from that will cost us something, whether that's access to social groups, access to food, access to shelter or safety. That is ingrained in us. And as we grew in consciousness and started coming up with reasons why we felt this way, we came up with this idea that there must be an authority figure that metes out justice, because that must be why we feel this way. And then we moved away from that, hopefully, some of us at least. And now we have that same sense, and we might say, okay, well, we need to create a society that supplements this, whether that's with the justice system or whether that's with, HR codes in a building, that's the way we organize society because we are a social species, and it's traceable through evolution. And God is a way to explain that, and that's a way we've explained it for a long time, and it's a very simplistic answer, so it sticks. But yeah, does that
what we
help?
What we can do in the place of religion to promote a secular worldview is to prove that there are other consequences. It's not necessarily that you're going to go to hell,
right?
Or anything like that. It's these are some things that will happen when you do this, and this is how life works. The good things happen and bad things happen, and this is how you try to navigate what's going to happen. Does that help?
Well, the problem is the psychopath would say, all right, those are the obstacles that I need to avoid to get away with this then.
No, that's not what a psychopath would say.
I think that you're making assumptions about people that you don't know.
It could be the case that I'm not well informed enough about psychopaths.
Maybe.
But
I think that's a problematic word to use. If you want to use
very bad case.
Like bad people, bad to the bone people.
Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe go, I don't know. Do a little more research on psychopaths and maybe try to see if you can find a forum and go meet some.
Well, I didn't meet one. That's why I'm calling, is because I think about how I could convince him using the tool that I use, but the secular morality that I use is based on empathy, and he doesn't see that as a valuable tool.
Okay, so that's a valid concern,
right?
And we should have started with that.
Yeah.
I think that what you should be doing is maybe researching morality a little bit more and figuring out other ways that people define morality and ascribe to morality. Because empathy can help. It can. And a lot of people use it as a guide. But it's not the only measure.
I would also say to look up emotional intelligence and child psychology, because when you think about when children's brains are just developing and they're just learning how the world works and how to speak languages and how to dress themselves and all kinds of things like that, that's the time where they're the best at learning. And so when you're trying to teach somebody life skills, like why it's good to do things for other people. That's a basic skill that children have to learn. And so I think that if you look into child psychology, that can be helpful to you. And start looking into emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence has taught me how we can use our emotions. For example, when I feel angry, I can use, that's a really damn good motivator. You know, you don't have to just sulk in it and just think about everything that's making you angry all the time. You can use it to go out and try to make changes and make other people happy and try to prevent other people from being angry. And so that's the thing, is when you don't experience empathy, that just means that you have another life skill, another emotional thing to learn to get over and help you navigate through the world that we live in, which unfortunately for that person, most people do experience empathy. So it just means that they have something new to navigate around, just like being left-handed. You know, it's just something that's different, that's all.
Religion might be an easy way to keep people in line, but that doesn't mean it's the best way.
But I don't think that when you have somebody that's religious because they've been told to do that, I don't think that that's necessarily, you know.
That's not empathy either, and that's not morality either. If you're doing things because you're afraid of punishment, then
are you being empathetic?
Yeah, then what does empathy have to do with it anyway?
Well, I'm saying that it would do something with morality if they started using it, but currently all they're aware of is obedience, and if that's what it takes to integrate them to society, then I'm not sure I want to take those training wheels away.
Well, then I'm glad that we don't give the training wheels to you.
Well,
but thank you so much, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I understand your frustration and I understand your concern, but what I've come down to is that it's not up to me to decide what's right for you or what's right for you. It's up to me to decide what's right for me and to fight for my rights and fight for your rights and fight for her rights. So I'm going to fight for the psychopaths too. But thank you so much for calling. Do you have anything else?
That'll be it. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah,
thank you so much. It was good talking to you. Bye.
I think I understand where that caller was coming from,
I do
for
too.
sure. And it is a valid concern. And that's why we don't just say, you know, if I was in a position where I could phase out religion, you know, like that, I wouldn't do it like that, because we don't have structures in place to make that transition better. So yeah, if we were to evaporate religion tomorrow, there would be
chaos,
basically hell on earth for a little bit. But we can avoid that by implementing better structures, and to just condemn a whole group of people to living in fear of everlasting punishment because you're afraid of something they may do in the future. That's not very empathetic.
Yeah. Well said.
So,
all right. So I saw on the little notes here that we are having tamales for dinner. Just in case anybody's watching and lives about 5-10 minutes away, get your butts up here. We've got tamales. Okay. So Joel, can you hear us?
Hi, this is Joel.
Joel, I'm sorry.
Hi.
Thank you for hanging in there. It looks like you.
I'm on right now.
I'm sorry?
I can't believe I'm on right now.
Well, welcome.
Well, you are, and you're talking to Jenna and Vi. And it says that here that you accidentally introduced religion to your aunt. Tell us about that.
Well, in retrospect, I guess it wasn't accidental at the time. I was a believer back then in high school, and to fast forward through everything, like I've always been like questioning things. I wasn't sure that what I was believing was necessarily true. It was around me, and I just never really felt faith. Like I didn't feel it. I didn't. Sorry, I'm nervous, but
okay.
I just you know, shout out to my friend Sean. Like the last 2 weeks, I've just been watching so much Atheist Experience and Talk Heathen, and I
nice.
Probably consumed like 80 hours in like 4 days. The first 4 days, like that was probably way too much, but that really helped.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you have us on speakerphone, Joel?
I meant to take that off. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
There you go.
Is it better?
Yes, please. Thank
There's
you.
just a little bit of feedback.
All right, continue. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I just you know, I had studied logic back in the day, like symbolic logic, these deductive arguments, formal arguments, and this really continued all that. And I'm like, yeah, I never really had a great reason for believing.
Well, just try to help you out a little bit. It says here that you called because you felt guilty about talking to your aunt about religion. Is that what you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, it was my mom's cousin. Like I just went back to New York we had a service for my mom who recently passed, and
I'm sorry.
No, thanks, guys. She came up to me during this reception and sort of reminded me that when I was in high school, I was staying with her for some time. I had, I had brought her to this church at the time that was nearby her, since I was living with her. And, it maybe went like 2-3 times. I don't remember, maybe 4 times, but she continued on after that. Like I was off to college and she continued on and basically became a believer. Or maybe she became a believer again, I'm not sure. And, raised her kids in this, like, for the next 14 years, like her son's in the choir and everything, like, and it was like a surprise because I don't think this way like I used to think.
So why do you blame yourself?
Not think. Well, it's hard. There's a feeling of guilt there, but it's like I didn't know better, really.
Yeah, that's why you shouldn't blame yourself, in my opinion.
Yeah, I tend to a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't know what you know now, and that's the way I think about a lot of things. When I think about things that I could possibly feel really guilty about things I've done in the past, I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know what I know now, so I can't be too hard on myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know lots of people who used to be religious, who have since deconverted, and feel a lot of guilt and pain over the people that they brought into their religion while they were still religious.
Right.
You're not alone in that feeling. That is almost practically universal, I think, among people who have moved out of religion, either leaving people behind or introducing people. Like it's a real valid emotion. So I do want to validate that.
Absolutely.
But it's not something that you need to take with you. That was past you. You were doing what you thought was best for your aunt at the time. You were trying to share something that you loved with her. Mm-hmm. And that's not something to be ashamed of or guilty about.
You did the thing that you thought was right at the time. And I think that that's all that anybody can do. When you change your mind, well, then keep doing it. And when you change your mind again, keep doing it. But when you get new information, as long as you can say, well, I'm willing to accept that I was wrong and I'm willing to update the information as far as what I know now, well, that's all I can do, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I think about how guilty I feel about having wasted what I call wasting so many years of my life on religion, in church, in prayer, in CCD classes, and so many things that I've wasted so much time. Mm-hmm. And I feel guilty about that. And that guilt is what motivated me to spend as much time as I can now countering that. And that's what got me to start volunteering at this atheist community of Austin and start call screening. And now I'm on a show talking to people about what I think is wrong with how they came to their conclusions and how I discovered I was wrong. And I'm basically doing the exact opposite of what I used to do because I'm motivated by my guilt. So when I think about, if you do feel guilty or you feel angry or you feel depressed about it, use it because those are motivating emotions.
Yeah, let's lay it out there. I was in a Christian college, and I was losing my faith and not telling anyone about it. And so I was going through, and I was talking to you about this earlier, I was going through going to prayer meetings, going to church, going to chapel with my friends, and I was basically lying, right? And I was pretending like I believed what they did, and I didn't. And then later on, I found out that other friends in that same group were also losing their faith and feeling very alone and isolated and lost. So I could go back and beat myself up for not being honest about my own feelings and helping them. But I was just working with what I knew. I was taking the steps that I thought were right for me at the time and right for my friends. I didn't want to hurt them. I didn't want to lose them. So I can't go and beat up past V for what she did or didn't do, and neither should you.
And now she can use that experience to her benefit and use it and learn from it and talk about it so that you can learn from it and other people listening can learn from it. And that's where I think we were talking about this earlier too, that talking about it is the best thing you can do. Because if you talk about it, someone's going to hear it. Whether it's, someone across the coffee shop that just accidentally overheard what you said, and then they're going to start thinking and then talk about it with somebody else and then talk about it with... That's how balls start rolling. That's how things start happening and things start changing, is it starts with a conversation. So if you're feeling guilty, I'd say just talk about it.
And you are right here, right now. So
thank you.
You're on a good path already.
I'm sorry. We've been talking for most of this conversation.
Oh, that's cool. Pretending is like probably the worst thing. I never wanted to be inauthentic, and I was always someone who was like, I know a lot, and yet I know nothing. That's why I always said, because I'm like always looking for something new to,
But that's cool.
I'm not set in anything really like 100% because I had no reason to be set 100%. But when it comes to just like talking with her, like I feel like almost a responsibility, like to at some point, we're just sort of reconnecting after like a number of years, and I feel like I should at some point bring it up, or
you can.
Like I've talked to my aunt. I've talked to an aunt already, like my mom's sister, and she was like surprised. I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm an atheist," and she's like, "What?" And I told my brother. I like talked to my close friend, let him know like.
Yeah, just keep talking.
I still want to join like the different communities in the Reddit.
Yeah. As long as you're safe, I've got to add that.
Yeah.
As long as it's safe to talk to everybody that you're talking to.
Oh yeah, well, the people that may judge me, I don't think they're, maybe they're on Facebook, but I don't talk to them on a daily basis. And
okay. Just want to make sure.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to talk with your aunt after you've reconnected, then yeah, for sure, feel free to do that.
I would tell her that I'd feel guilty and why I felt guilty, and if she had a question, I'd tell her, just be honest.
Yeah.
She might think about it later, and she might start questioning later, and then think, hey, you know what? He told me this, and maybe I can go back to him, and he can help me through. You never know.
Yeah. And at the very least, she can tell you not to feel guilty.
Right. And hey, if she's happy and if she's raising kids that are acting on what you think is moral and doing good things and being good people, then I think that maybe they're fine.
Yeah, I mean they're good people. I think the truth is important.
Totally,
the truth is, and I feel like the same way I felt like it was sort of a duty to like proselytize like that to anyone who would listen. I never really thought that stuck with anybody.
Yeah.
Like now my friends they just kind of tolerate me talking about being saved from hell and whatnot. But I didn't think that landed until like 14 years later. My aunt tells me like this actually impacted her, and I was like, oh man, now what? So
that brings me to another thing real quick, is that when you do think that you know something, anything, I am actually very careful now to start to question myself before I start telling people what I know, because I've been wrong about so many things before that when I do try to speak about something that I consider myself, knowing, I try to say, oh, well, this is what I think or what I know as of now, or, as far as I've learned, this is what I know. But I try not to be like, oh, this is the truth, because I don't necessarily ever know. And I don't want anybody to, if I'm wrong, I don't want to convince anybody of the wrong thing. But hey, that's another thing that you can take from this, is learning that in case you're wrong, you might not want to go out and tell people what to believe.
Right.
Right? Because that's not what I'm doing. I'm not telling anybody what to believe. Right?
Like suggesting to them, but then it's like people should find out for themselves is better than listening to what I say. Like, what do I actually know?
Right.
But let me tell you, my favorite things are like these logical fallacies. Like I had studied them before, but not. There's so many more that I wasn't even aware of. I keep catching myself now. Like
they're a lot of fun.
Logical fallacies
They're
are
crazy.
fantastic.
I love it.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Catch yourself talking in absolutes is like going to fail.
Yep. Slippery slope, all of it.
That was my main thing, the trees, like everybody talks about the trees, like
look at them.
Look at the trees.
So complex. It was like talking from incredulity.
What is it? Inference from credulity? Argument from credulity.
Yeah.
Incredulity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, how could it not be God? Like, that was pretty much the main thing I was running on for most of my life.
Oh, yeah.
Not really from the Bible.
Maybe even just sharing a couple of those with your aunt, you know? Saying, hey, I found this awesome hobby. I'm figuring out logical fallacies. Let's try one out.
Make a game out of it. Be like, make up some cards and play with the kids and be like, hey, can you solve the fallacy? Actually, I'm probably going to do that now.
I was just saying, like, we have to team up maybe.
I think that your heart's in the right place and you're feeling things that a lot of us have felt. But you didn't do anything wrong. No one's holding it against you, and you shouldn't hold it against yourself. And you can use this to, get in touch with your aunt and talk more about this or about other stuff and just be in her life and be a good influence.
All right.
Sounds good to me. You guys are really awesome.
You are too.
You are too.
Really, I've been watching. I'm like watching here. I'm talking to you about watching is like a 3-time delay or whatever. It's like, I can't believe I'm with you right now. This is...
Well, call us back and let us know if you talk to your aunt. Then let us know how that conversation goes, and we'll talk to you again later, okay?
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Sean.
All right. Awesome. Well, that was my first time hosting the Atheist Experience.
Woo.
And thank y'all for watching, and thank y'all for the crew.
Crew cam.
Awesome people back there. I think tamales. I heard them. They spoke to me.
They heard.
Stop. We gotta go eat tamales.
Eat tamales.
Thank y'all for watching.